Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'll be showing you guys how to cut 4 types of trendy necklines. And if this is your first time on this channel, thank you so much for stopping by, and don't forget to subscribe at the end of this video and also turn on your notification bell. So let's get started. The first on the list is the sweetheart neckline, and here as you can see I've already drafted my basic lines. If you don't know how to draft the basic bodies, I'll be leaving a link in my description box. Do well to watch that video. So I marked 4 inches as my neck width and went down by 5 inches. After marking 4 inches as your neck width and 5 inches as your neck depth, do well to use your ruler to connect those points. So depending on how deep you want your sweetheart neckline to look, you can either mark 7 inches or 8 inches. I marked 8 inches at that point and connected it to the 5 inches neck depth. And that's all for your sweetheart neckline. I went ahead to finish up my pattern by marking out my shoulder slant and also making my armhole curve. If you are cutting this directly on your fabric, go ahead and mark out your bust measurement divided by 4 and also your waist measurement divided by 4, adding your dart allowance and also your sewing allowance. So it's time to cut this pattern out. And now you have your sweetheart neckline. Now let's move over to the next. The next on the list is the stylish square neckline. Mark 3.5 inches as your neck width and 3 inches as your neck depth. Go ahead and make a perfect square with those measurements. And after doing that, mark out 1 inches to make your shoulder slant and also mark out your armhole curve. After doing that, open up your pattern paper to extend your neck width and neck depth to the other side of the pattern paper. Just as you see me doing, just extend that square to the other side. And also mark out your shoulder to chest line measurement. Now on the right side, mark out 3 inches downwards and make sure your ruler is placed in a slant format, not straight. And then on the left side, make a curve to meet the 3 inches you marked on the right. Just as you see me doing, just use your French curve to make a curve to meet the 3 inches you marked at the right side. Now if you wish, you can go ahead and extend your line to the end of your bodice. And when cutting on your fabric, you add your zipper allowance if you want to make exactly the style as seen. After doing that, go ahead and insert your bust circumference divided by 4 plus your seam allowance, and also waist circumference divided by 4 plus dart intake and seam allowance. This is the final look of this neckline. The third on the list is the plunging V neckline. Go ahead and draft out your posterior pattern. Mark half an inch on both sides of your dart lines at the waistline, and also mark 0.7 inch on both sides of the under bust line and connect it to your hip line. After doing that, mark 1 inch below your bust line and mark 1 inch above your hip line. Use your French curve to connect that point to your under bust line. Now on your chest line, you can either choose to take your dart from the chest line, or you go up by half an inch or 1 inch. I went up by 1 inch. And then marked 0.7 inch to the side going towards the center, and also 1 inch to the side going towards the armhole, and then connected it to the 1 inch I marked above the bust line. Go ahead and use your French curve to smoothen that rough edge there, and then mark half an inch below the chest line and connect it to that point, just as you see me doing. Now on the armhole, that space you have there, divide it by 2 and go down by half an inch. Make a line and then connect the other side to the new line. Now for the V neckline, you can either mark 1 inch or 2 inches depending on how wide you want your V neckline to look. I marked 1.5 inches so that when I open it up it will be 3 inches, and then connected it to my under bust line. Now go ahead and mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Mine is 9 inches. And then mark your dart intake and also your sewing allowance. Go ahead and do the same for the waistline. Mark your waist circumference divided by 4 and 1 inch for your dart intake and 1.5 inches as your sewing allowance. So there you have your strapless plunging V neckline. So guys, the next on the list is this beautiful keyhole neckline, and as you can see, I already drafted my basic lines, my chest line, bust line, under bust and the waistline. Now go ahead and mark 3.5 inches as your neck width and 2.5 inches as your neck depth, and make your round neckline. After doing that, mark 1 inches downwards to get your shoulder slant. After doing that, mark your bust circumference divided by 4. Mine is 9 inches. And then find the midpoint of your armhole length and then go in by 1/2 inch and make your armhole curve. After making your armhole curve, you can now go ahead and mark out your bustier pattern. After drafting your bustier pattern, go ahead and connect your waistline to your hip line. So now it's time to draft our keyhole neckline. Now on your chest line, mark 1 inch from the center front, which is that point there. Mark 1 inch at that point, and then on the armhole curve, mark 1 inch inwards. I had to use my pencil to trace this out first because I didn't want to overpaint my pattern paper. Now also mark 1 inch downwards from the shoulder slant. Also mark 1 inch downwards to the shoulder slant. And then use your French curve to connect those points together. The 1 inch at the center front and the 1 inch below your shoulder slant. I'm going to use my marker now to trace this out so that it will be visible for you to see. Just watch carefully and you will definitely get this. So that's all, guys. You'll be cutting out the shaded area. And that is the yoke. I won't be cutting out my bustier because the emphasis of this video is on the neckline and not on the bustier. So I won't be cutting out my darts. So guys, this is the end of this tutorial, and if this video was helpful, kindly like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.